Well, hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I want to go ahead and take a look in the Bible and do a devotional with you. And so let's break it open. Let's talk about God's power, okay? This is something theologians call the omnipotence of God. It comes from Latin, meaning omni, meaning all, and then potens, meaning power. So basically, that this idea that God can do absolutely anything. That's not a new concept. If you're familiar at all with Christianity or Judaism, then you understand this concept. God can do whatever he wants. There's nothing he can't do. The only things he can't do are things that he are restrictions he places on himself because of his character. He can't sin, for example. So it's not that it's outside of his power to be able to do something. It's questions of what he won't do. So this is the basic idea, all right? But it's one thing to say that, but it's another thing to really think about what God can do. So I went ahead and I took a look at some of the miracles that happened in the Bible, and there's a lot. I mean, there's well over 100, and potentially maybe even hundreds, depending on who you want to believe when you read around on the internet. But at any rate, I just pulled just a handful here. So, like the very idea, first of all, of creation. So, God created everything. I mean, is that not the miracle of all miracles? That there was nothing, and then God spoke, and there was something. There was everything. And so, we see that shows God's power. Also in the Old Testament, when the Israelites were trying to escape from the Egyptian army that was coming to kill them, God literally took the Red Sea and he put it into two pieces, cleared a path for them through the sea, and it wasn't even muddy ground to stand on. They walked through on dry land. So there's that. There's the idea that in the Old Testament also that Sarah at the age of 90 conceived with the son they named is Isaac. And that's a huge miracle at 90. And the father, Abraham, was 100 years old. So obviously a big miracle there. We see the fiery furnace. Daniel's friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, thrown into a furnace that was so hot that the guard who threw them in there died from the heat. But they survived. They walked around and strolled. The only thing that was harmed about them was the ropes that were tying them up were cut out. We see that Jesus, when he was here, he walked on the water, but that wasn't enough. When another storm came on and he was in the boat, he spoke to the storm and it calmed down. And so we see Jesus doing all kinds of miracles. I mean, he healed blindness, he healed paralysis, he healed someone with leprosy. We see also in the Old Testament about the idea of manna, that God provided this special bread from heaven. And when people were sick of that, God provided quail, I think it was. I forget which bird it was, but he provided meat for them. And just right there, just walk out, pick it up, and you can eat it. And that's the way it was. And if that's not miraculous enough for it, God took the lunch on two different occasions of somebody. He broke it into pieces, and it was turned out that this lunch for a single person was basically enough to feed thousands of people. I mean, talk about multiplication of your efforts there. We see that there are 8 resurrections in the Bible, including Jesus' own, when he raised himself from the dead. There's also an instance when the sun and the moon stood still. We see that God took the people at the Tower of Babel and he divided them by making them all speak different languages so they couldn't work together. And then later on, after Jesus had rose from the dead and gone up into heaven, his followers miraculously spoke different languages so that the crowd that was gathered there, everyone heard the same message in their own native tongue. All kinds of miracles. And it just goes to show that what Jesus said is right. What we see in Matthew chapter 19, verse 26, Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but with God, everything is possible. Guys, God can do it all. And so don't forget that. Those are just some of the miracles that he did, some of the ones that amazed me. So I hope this helps get your perspective today. And remember what a mighty God we serve. I love you. I'll see you next time, guys.